Well, good evening and welcome to Mountain Bears. I'm Aeson Knight, and of course with me tonight is Techy Joe.
Hello, hello. And guys, I promise this is getting better. It doesn't look better, but it's getting better.
Well, honey, you got to realize you also have our Patreon mail behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I am still in process of doing our quarterly Patreon mail outs.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. We've got a lot of stuff moving.
We do.
Yes.
We have a great living room now. I'm gone into art decoration mode.
Absolutely. Hello, Shannon. So,
yeah.
Real quick, I want to pose one because I saw this earlier today, and I'm sure others have. So, is tomorrow the final countdown?
Yes, for the detonation of the fuck it bomb.
Well, no, that went off tonight.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get into that one.
Well, no, because it was pointed out that April 3rd, 2021 makes it 4, 3, 2, 1.
Mm-hmm.
The final countdown.
Uh-huh.
I'm just saying. I thought it was cute.
Yeah. Yeah, I also think it's cute. You may be on a watch list for Walmart.
You know, like full disclosure, there was a while there I couldn't write a check at Walmart. That was an accident. Mm-hmm. My mother died. I had 2 bank accounts, one in North Carolina, one in West Virginia. I made a slight oops.
Mm-hmm. Hi, Brenda. Hi, Shannon.
I came in for the funeral. Hey, Brenda. I came in for the funeral and was not paying attention to which checkbook I grabbed. And that week was so messed up. And I needed to go buy a sweater because it was going to be really cold. And, I did not even think when I was packing to pack something warm. So I went to go buy the stupid $18 sweater with the wrong checkbook. Because I knew what my balance was in North Carolina. I did not know what my West Virginia bank account balance was. I bounced a check at Walmart. That $18 sweater, because of 2 cents, ended up costing me $75 plus court cost plus.
Yada, yada, yada. Yeah, no. So we commonly share accounts. I decide I'm going to go buy us a new futon for the living room to solve Aeson's nap problem.
Mm-hmm.
This is a simple purchase. You go to Big Lots, you get what you need, you come home, you do the Japanese put it together.
We've already had 2. We're very, very skilled at it.
I've had 5. I enjoy the futon. I love the ability to take my furniture apart and move it wherever I want because I will not own furniture I can't move.
Yes. Well, but also we've had the unfortunate experience with the ones that we kept buying is that, or the last 2 at least, they both broke in the exact same way.
Yep.
So we already had the mattress part for it.
Right.
And it was do we want to buy another one or just no? And we had decided no a while back.
Mm-hmm.
And then it, blah, 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 here we are. So he goes out to go buy our we know this is going to die in 6 months or less. But, we'll get one and whatevs. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine until I decide and find the living room suit I want.
Yes.
Mid-century 1950s, lovely couch.
And this has been the issue. Is trying to get there. And find what we want at a price we're willing to pay, because I'm sorry, I'm just not I am not $5,000 living room suit people.
Mm-hmm.
We have pets.
Right.
I have him.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, honey. I love you, but we've talked about getting you a bib.
Well, I know that, but I was thinking more so just, the wear and tear on furniture in general in this household.
Yeah.
Especially since it's planned to be my napping area.
You know, that's we've gone back and forth on a few different discussions.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have. I'm more mid-century modern. I like my clean, simple lines. I'm just like, you know, I don't want anything over the top. And yeah, I'm not opposed to reupholstering furniture. I think it's a wonderful thing. We've got a few pieces that need to go. To get reupholstered, I mean. But yeah. I'm a little weird on buying a couch, mostly because we do not have a garage. So it's not like we can find the piece, store the piece, get in touch with it, like, and like make this all happen. Plus, we don't have a truck.
Yeah.
That's the biggest downside.
Yeah.
Like, we really like our come apart furniture. Like, if we can't buy it new and have it delivered to, you know, tomorrow, or later this week,
or within a couple hours.
Yeah.
Because I have somebody's home phone number, but she doesn't have what I want in stock.
There you go.
But, so fine, I'll go buy the stupid black metal futon that I've owned now 5 times. I will own a 6th one because it's disposable furniture.
It is.
Like, you can't kill the mattress. The frame dies all the time. You know, I need a blowtorch and some soldering guns, and I'm quite sure that we could keep it going for a while if I wanted to really invest in it.
More importantly, if they could make the frame out of the material they make the mattress out of, we wouldn't have a problem.
Exactly.
Because I swear to God, that thing's made out of like Kevlar and steel shards.
Yeah.
Comfortable somehow, but you can't destroy it, and it weighs a metric ton.
Yes.
Like, the futon frame is lighter and more destructible than the mattress. Like, I don't get it. How does that happen? How do you design a product that bass-backward?
Right. So I go to my preferred store, Big Lots. Get what I want. They know me there. They know me well there. They know me as both as Mr. Knight and Mr. Arrington. They have no problem. They see me come into the store. They know I'm there for something, and I'm getting it and getting out. They're out of them. They're even out of the one I want. Fine. They're out of the one I want. They're out of the upgrade. Fine. I will go to the Hell Mart.
Yes. The Mart of Hell.
Yes.
With the always low amounts that are slowly destroying our economy.
Right. Go there. They don't have the what I want either. They do have the upgraded model that I can get behind and like, and we have looked at a number of times and went, yeah, we'll get that one. So fine, I said, fuck it. I'm going to go ahead and get it, you know, because we have the money. House is stocked with more food than I can cook in a week, even if I do binge cooking. Bills are paid. Okay, we'll spend it. Takes me an hour and a half to get an associate, and the only way I got an associate is I went up to the front and said, I need to speak to a manager in furniture.
Yeah.
Because there was barely anybody at the checkout. However, there were 4 of us back in furniture.
And you were first.
Yes, and I was first. I started the line. So I got to choose which one of the 4 I wanted. Let them fight it out the best. But I read the manager the riot act, and then I checked out, and 2 very lovely gentlemen came, put the futon on the little rolly cart that you do not let customers push. Took it to the checkout, checked me out, very lovely. Took it to the car, put it in the car, a little back and forth chitter chat, no big deal. And then I realized I paid with his card. So he may be on the Karen list at Walmart.
Yeah. I'm fine with this. I'm fine with this. Like, I don't have a problem with that. I consider it an upgrade. I've gone from the don't let write checks here list to the may cause a scene, but will have valid points.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because that's not really a Karen list. Karen lists are like, that's when like you're just entitled, but you don't have anything to back you up. That's when you like are mad that they don't have the futon that you want, and you start demanding like this one for free. I don't want to be on that Karen list.
No, I wasn't demanding it for free. I was demanding that they load it into my vehicle.
Reasonable thing. That's not a small light thing.
No.
That's a team left.
Yeah.
You are not a team.
Depending on who you call in.
Well, yeah.
You know, I can be a hurricane sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But this thing is nifty as heck. I unboxed it thinking, great, I'm missing two very important parts. No, they're zipped up in the bottom of the seat. There's extra storage down there.
Yes.
Yes.
You were super excited. It is. And it fit in the Kia. Like this is furniture that fit in a car.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, it fit in the car.
Uh-huh.
Like lay the seat down, and all you got from the guys at the store is that's going to be a real tight fit. Did you have the moment where it's like, yeah, we got a deep freeze in there?
No, I didn't have the moment of we had a deep freeze in there. I said, yep, I know it's going to be a tight fit. It's always a tight fit, but it'll fit.
It will fit.
Yep.
Like we know the car. We've put a lot in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it does a lot. It's very trucky.
It is super trucky. Let's see. What all have I hauled in it lately? I hauled 34 cinder blocks. I've hauled a deep freeze. I've hauled 200 cubic feet of dirt.
Mm-hmm. In bags.
70 pounds of mulch in bags.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, it's getting ready to repeat that.
Yep.
She does good. And we haven't had to put new shocks in her yet.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Like, no, I give it credit. Like, we're finally getting, like, smart vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's finally a thing. Like, I thought I was the shit with my, like, Ford Festiva back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Little teeny tiny car.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a little teeny tiny car. Like from the driver's seat, I could stretch a little and like lean the seat back and touch the back glass.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was not big by any stretch, but you roll that front or that back seat forward.
Mm-hmm.
It was uncomfortable to drive, but you could get a 32-inch television in the box, and I mean old school.
Mm-hmm.
CRT, big tubey television in the box into it with room to spare. Like, do you need throw pillows? Do you need like cookware? What do you need? Because I got that call from my dad one night. He went and bought a television expecting to put it in his car. Because this is the first time in his life he's owned a car without a truck. And he just took off to go buy a big-ass television thinking he could put it in there. And then he had to call me from the store and was like, I may have bought more television than we can haul. Can you come here with your car? It's okay. And he starts looking at the car and going, that'll never fit in there either. Crap, I don't know what we're going to do. And I said, hold on a minute, Dad, you're premature. So I laid the seat down, and he knew that happened. And he's like, well, I still don't think it's going to fit. I said, watch. And rolled the back seat up, and he goes, oh, I didn't know it did that. I was like, I know. I said, I've wondered a few times when all you did was hold the seat down. It's like, you just do that for groceries.
But no, it was a very interesting experience. And yes, I will be calling corporate because I have their number. Yeah. Yeah. And as far as unupholstering one, yes, if we can find one that I A, like, B, the bones are good on, doesn't have, the fiberboard to it, and see, we can find an upholsterist that will recover it in the gray houndstooth that I want it in.
Now that I might can find us. There's a shop that our family has used for years.
Mm-hmm.
We've gotten them to do, like, they are a top shop. Like, literally, they create like rag tops for cars. That's what their business is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they'll do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I will arrange it to Princeton. They recently changed names. Do what now?
Me and a U-Haul.
Exactly.
I know.
But no, like, I would plug them because I love that place, but they recently changed names.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't remember the new name now. I have to go look.
But no, there's things like upholsterers that are out of business, cobblers. I am looking for a good cobbler. I have boots that need care.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But no, the upholsterer I've got covered. Like, they're good. They're real good.
Mm-hmm.
And price-wise good.
Right.
Like, they really helped as hospital volunteers or helped out the hospital volunteers back when I was volunteering with the hospital. We had I forget what they're called. They're the fixed wheelchairs, the ones that do not collapse, like they don't fold down.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're called like a people mover.
Human mover.
Yeah, something like that. They're kind of lounge cherry. They have the little fold up arms, and they always have this black foam seat. That stupid seat is one. They don't last too long,
and
they are super expensive to replace.
Right.
Because the chair itself shocked me. They are like 30. I think. No, those are $1,800 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
For like, if you're in there in like the lawnmower style people mover wheelchairs, those are $1,800. You do not want to steal one. Like, believe me, you'll get chased down by security. They no, we don't like replacing them.
Right.
But and a lot of hospitals have gone to them. And so we had bought an original batch and all of the seats were going out. And I actually called the top shop and was like, hi, I have a thing that is totally non-automotive. Can you help me? And they said, bring me one and let me look at it and let me see what we can do. So we brought them one of the covers and they said, oh yeah, we can do that. We can totally do that. Anything extra you want, blah, blah, blah. And so we just want it to be as indestructible as possible. She's like, we have got you covered. And they did it for like $25 a seat. We were looking at like, I think it was like a couple hundred, if I remember right, to replace each of those seats from the manufacturer with the one that was going to also die.
Right.
We're like, oh, we love you. Like, we have never been so happy to write a check. Like, gladly. But anyway, that's my thing. I've always, like, they've been great. They've done all kinds of, like, weirdo things.
They have. And so let's get to some hot topics and interesting topics that have occurred.
Awesome.
Well, the White House had to tell the investigators over the Capitol riots that they no longer have the President Trump's White House top aides' documentation of January 6th Capitol attack. According to the letter, it has been long-standing practice for the White House records to be transferred to the custody of the National Archives and Records Administration at the end of a president's tenure. However, the White House Chancellor General wrote in a letter to the White House Oversight Committee Chairman Carolyn Morley, a New York Democrat, as a result, the NARA is the appropriate entity to address your request, and should you have any records responsive to your request, we do not have custody of such records at the White House. I'm wondering if there is records.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun question to get answered over time.
I think it was just a shred. Like that day, January 7th was Shred and Dread Day.
Probably to some degree. There was a lot of social distancing occurring that day. Of we do not want to get attached to this.
Furthermore, I don't think there's a need for records. They've got it on video of him standing out in a tent watching and cheering them on. That should be evidence to begin with.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sorry, this is the most documented, welcome to the age of the internet and people that don't think they're doing anything wrong and or do not understand the process of discovery.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you just created a giant, massive amount of discovery all over the place. All over the place.
Right.
It was a gold mine. Not only are you on standard security cam footage, not only were you caught by, news media camera footage, you posted on a website, multiple websites with video of yourself not only committing the crime, but talking about the crime and the premeditation beforehand and after the crime.
And cheering
all the way through. The whole thing. And encouraging people. Yeah.
What I'm not understanding is why it's taking so long to charge. Why is there not treason and Q charges now? If this was any other country in the world, he would already be on trial, if not executed.
Honestly, I'm starting to think it has more to do with the sheer volume of evidence.
Okay.
This is just this is a mountain. Where do you want to go with that? This is going to take a lot of effort to sort through that much video, that many social media posts, that much going on. This is literally the moment. And you could say that, I believe it was NCIS. No, not NCIS. Oh, the one where he makes the stupid comment, the bad, pun at the beginning of every episode. You see the crime, and then, the one guy makes the comment, well, I guess he got his pancakes. Or something stupid. It's always a wordplay.
It's Believe It or Not.
No, not Believe It or Not. It's one of the procedural crime dramas. There's it has the little woman with the big glasses.
That is NCIS.
Is that NCIS?
Yes, that's NCIS LA.
Okay. I didn't think that's what it was, but all right, I guess. Yeah, so.
She's creepy as Hades. I love her, and she used to do horror flicks, and it was awesome. Anyhow, so that's interesting that the Democrats are having to hunt this down. I do not understand why the U.S. prosecutors are not on top of this.
Oh, well, sorry. The rest of my sentence is, I think they predicted it, or so to speak, predicted it years ago. Where they were, there was a crime they were investigating, and it was just, they had footage from every single possible angle. Right. And they were literally showing it. It wasn't really something that forensically they could quite do yet. But taking all of that and creating this perfect 3D model with very few missing pieces that you could see the crime happen. From all different angles, right? Between security cam footage and people at the event, and I think this was technically bigger than the crime they were talking about, right? Because it was, again, I think if it wasn't a political thing, it was the show crime was a massive concert or something. Literally everyone had a camera
Right.
at this event.
Right.
But yeah, and I think that's where we are. We had our first crime that has gone to this level that you could literally sit here and just spin through it from every angle
Right.
of people and what they were doing and who they were talking to and who they were near and what was going on and what was being posted online. And I think it's a lot of evidence to handle.
I think it is a lot of evidence to handle. I think it's a lot of information to handle. And then, of course, now we have another case. We've unfortunately lost another Capitol police officer.
And one was injured as well.
One was injured as well. Because someone tried to ram the barricade.
They did. So, yeah, there's the Constitution Avenue entrance to the Capitol. Just down from the FBI building. That there was an attempt to basically take a speeding car into Capitol grounds. They found out quickly that those barricades are not to be screwed with.
They're not.
It totaled the car.
Yeah.
The barricade is fine.
Barricade doesn't even look like it was touched. The car is literally, the engine is in the front seat.
Yeah.
Like, where do you think he was going?
Not sure on that one.
So we lost.
Not sure what the plan was.
We lost Officer William Evans. William Billy Evans was killed in the line of duty. Pelosi is calling him a martyr for our democracy. We have another one injured. And I'm glad they're flashing the officers' names and faces and not, again, another psycho.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because that was not a martyr for a cause.
No.
That was, I don't know what that was.
Right.
Because this doesn't look like it was part of an orchestrated event. As in, this wasn't, January 6th, part deux.
Right.
Or part deux. This appears to be a single actor doing a thing. It's just very unfortunate. We've lost another Capitol officer, and this is more tragedy in our nation's capital.
Right. And of course, he gets out of the car brandishing a knife, attacks both officers that's trying to get a hold of him. He is a 25-year-old. According to CNN, the investigation is still ongoing. But I'm going to say this, and this is going to sound really jaded of me. I think this was a test.
I don't know that you're wrong. And even if it's not a coordinated event or an orchestrated event necessarily, or even if that person is not part of a group and was, sent in that fashion, I think it probably did, mark one way of storming the Capitol off someone's list.
Right.
That you're not doing it with, a Nissan Altima or whatever it was.
Right.
It's what it looked like. It was that kind of like 4-door, like mid-sized sedan. Like, you're not getting through the Capitol barricades with a little tiny family car. Like, you're gonna have to try bigger.
Right. And you're going, and it's more so, in my opinion, I think it's more so touching to see the response time.
There is also that.
Yeah.
Which, again, that should be something someone knows is not going to be short, especially right now.
Right.
Like, not with the continuing threats of the news.
Right.
I mean, we've had other presidencies that, response times were not what one would have expected. When we had the one guy climb the fence at the White House and made it fairly close to the White House before being stopped by officers.
Wasn't there one that made their way into the White House, but on the lower floor?
I believe so, and I think that's as far back as like Reagan, if I remember right.
No, that was as close as Obama.
No, well,
yeah, one made it in for Obama.
Well, now also under Obama, they did have a problem. The one couple that came into an event that were uninvited, not on a guest list, and were still able to waltz right in.
Right.
No security clearance, background check, or anything on them. They are randomly at this event, that they decided to crash.
Right.
Yeah. That was bad enough.
Yeah. And that's just because they looked the part and there was a problem with the guest list checks. Because apparently there are 2 guest lists, and no, there were like 3 guest lists. Like there was a set that could come in to the White House, another set of guest lists that could come to the cocktail hour, and then another that was going to the dinner. And the problem was the guest lists weren't all clear.
Right.
Because they looked like they were with the Indian delegation and they weren't sure.
So better to, and again, that's a little more, it's still, it's not comfort making, because that's a definite lapse in security. But at the same time, I think even that's a little more understandable.
Right.
Then someone scales the White House fence and is running across the White House lawn, and you're kind of having the moment of, okay, there should be enough cameras and people here to stop that faster than this.
Right.
Like, hi, these are looking like aggressive actions.
Right.
So, yeah. No, that's, yeah. But we do hate that for the officer. We do hate that for the Capitol. Yeah, and DC as a community. They've had enough.
Right.
Like, this year sucked for them. It really, truly has. Like, every day it feels like there's something new.
Right. Ooh, apparently we have a new owner for Spotify.
Oh.
Kanye West has bought Spotify. Now, as y'all know, our show is hosted on Spotify. Because Spotify does own Anchor, our podcasting episode. So, yeah, apparently Kanye West bought them with his new billionaire status.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of people in the billionaires club, Jim Justice just fell out of it.
Did he pay his taxes?
No, actually it does sort of have to do with his taxes. It has to do with the lawsuits. It has to do with all the claims against him. The Forbes 400 actually dropped him from the list because trying to figure out Justice's finances is next to impossible.
Right.
So he has lost billionaire status club. If for no other reason, then on paper at least, it looks like he has become the high multimillionaire club, but has fallen just shy of the billionaire club.
Very much so.
But I do hate that news about Kanye West on taking over Spotify. That's a little scary.
Again, I think he's bought it. He owns it. It's like everything else he owns. Is he going to do anything with it? No.
Well, though, that's a serious consideration.
Right.
Because Spotify is a major platform with a lot of advertising. In a sense, it could be very much exploited. Like premium customers potentially won't see any big change. Although we could end up seeing, certain podcasts dropped, we could end up seeing, changes to their terms and conditions, but we could also see major changes for free users in terms of advertising that you're listening to.
Right.
Because that could go more political and more conservative.
Right. Which, we've switched before because we've not wanted to deal with him. Well, not deal with him, but deal with certain companies, i.e. Blog Talk. We will switch again if we need to for a podcasting host. That's why we came here to Facebook and YouTube. We enjoy going the video cast much better.
Oh, yeah, because it works.
Yeah.
Like Blog Talk was a brilliant idea and it was a brilliant platform, but it kind of got stagnant and it grew outside their capacity.
Right. And our show grew outside their capacity. That was their major problem, is they couldn't handle us. Okay.
Especially not on our, like the biggest problem we were having is it looked like they had a max, like their phone line situation had gotten out of control.
Right. Because people would call in to listen to the show. Now, granted, they're an older platform and, I'm sure their technology needs a lot of updating. We'll see what happens with Spotify. We'll see if they keep Anchor. If not, there is couple services out there that would love to have us. Guess what? We'll still be on Facebook and YouTube. You guys get to watch us live. You get to interact with us live by posting your questions.
Absolutely. And guys, I apologize. I usually silence that. My bad.
Yeah, it's just your mother-in-law calling.
Yes, it is. How did you know?
What's my day job?
Well, that and the general factor of it's 10:20 on, a Friday night. Bless her heart. We have told her we do the shows at 9:30 on Tuesday and Friday. And she will not call on Sunday or Monday or Wednesday or Thursday or Saturday or Sunday.
Yep.
But those 2 nights and after 9:30,
she'll call you.
She will.
She only calls me when she wants to know if we're having a party or not. Yep.
But the rest of the time, she will be like, well, I was afraid to call. I always thought you might be doing a show. It's like, no, other way around. Take all those other days. But yes. Well, Justin, I think we're doing pretty good. He says, hey, and asks how we're doing.
Yep.
Oh, she does want us to be thinking of her.
Always.
We do. Yeah.
We do. We're going to have, I know what it is. You called, left her a voicemail.
I did, because I had to ask her a very indelicate question, and I needed to know what lies she was comfortable telling.
Yes.
So Logisticare is a lovely service that has it's a privatization of a benefit in the state of West Virginia for medical transport. Either for directly, getting a commercial driver or gas mileage reimbursement for a family member. They've recently merged with a few other companies creating Motive Care, which has been an interesting process of them merging. They're adding more automation, and it looks like they're probably going to get rid of most of their call center. Some of this should actually become easier for people driving. Except today, I went to get the new forms, and I went straight to the new website, and it wouldn't let me do anything without creating an account. And I went, okay, that's fine. And so I create the account, and it starts me through the process of setting up a trip. And for, it was actually for one of my other relatives. And it hits me with what you call the ambulance transport questions. Because even though I'm a family member, this system, I don't think quite gets that. Like it asked me what my relationship to the patient is, but did not like take that into consideration for the questions it then proceeded to ask me. Nor did it take into consideration one of the other options I checked, which is, no, this is someone who doesn't have, mobility issues. So it starts asking me like, weight and height, and is there a ramp in the home? Is there this in the home? Do they need a lift? Do they have to be physically moved? Do they use a wheelchair? Is it electric or manual? Just all these extra questions. And so I'm sitting here, and they're required. So I'm sitting here having to ask the indelicate question to a few people all at once, because to be prepared to fill out the forms in the future. Because I'm sure I'm going to be asked this for a while. So yeah, I called and left your mother a message and said, I need to know your height and weight, or what lies you will want me to tell that you will confirm later.
Right.
Because I know better than well, I know my grandmother's form of that.
Right.
Because she was 5'6" and 135 pounds, according to the West Virginia DMV.
Right.
And if you'd been looking for a 5'6", 135 pound woman, you would have never found my grandmother.
Nope.
Like, that's all I'll say on that. Because she was 4'11" and 135 pounds when she passed.
Yeah, but you got to remember, that is when she was young. She probably wore a beautiful set of nice heels, and her hair was probably done in a full bun.
Yep. But she still wasn't, because I've always said, because I saw her driver's license and saw that, and I went, 5'6" and 135 pounds. Aha. I'm like, she was not 5'6" for sure. Like, that would be 4-inch heels and hair teased to Jesus. Like, she would have had to pull that hair up a lot to get that one. Now, as for the 135 pounds, my grandmother was not a small woman. No one on her side of the family ever was. They were kind of big people. They were big, barely people. But yeah, so I definitely find it interesting. And so I wanted to make sure that if I, answered that question, that your mother was going to go with what I said, or more importantly, find out what she lies about on her driver's license, so that we can make sure that all that was in agreement. Mostly because I don't want your mother trying to beat me down later. Just as a general theory there. But yeah.
Beat you down? Mother wouldn't beat you down, honey. She would. And by the way, we just let Vlad in. That's why I disappeared.
Welcome back.
Yes. She wouldn't beat you down. She has a purse that would do that for her.
Well, true. Very true. That purse looks like it has a cinder block in it. I think that is her organization in her purse. I think she just got the leather bag and wrapped it around a giant cinder block, and then that's her divider.
That's a possibility. It also could be her exercise plan.
Oh, believe me, it gives her a workout.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it gives the floor of my car a workout.
You've got your stories listed in your private chat.
I see that. Alrighty. Well, I was hoping for a tea refill, but I hadn't had a chance to put that in. All right. So, stop this.
The nomination of Vanita Gupta. Gupta has a record of building.
There we go. Sorry, guys. Gotta hate when you bring stuff up and it has an autoplay video. All right. So where are we starting first?
Choose one.
All right. So AOC. Your resignation is 84 days past due, is her statement to Cruz. Oh, wow. So apparently they are in a bit of a war, which kind of started when he did his trip to Cancun, if I remember correctly.
Yes. Yeah. She, however, not only went to Texas, she took money and supplies and volunteers and said, don't worry, since good old Teddy's not here, I'll take care of this. This is what we're doing. Here's these generators. Let's get some food in these people's bellies. Come on, snap, snap, let's go.
There you go. So yeah, now they're in a bit of a sparring match over the influx of immigrants at the U.S.-Mexico border. So yes, oh, thank you, invisible assistant, awesome,
right?
Yay. Oh goodness. Oh, so yeah,
right,
yeah. She is apparently calling out all the Ted Cruz types, who are taking trips to the border, but had voted for policies that helped create the problem.
And you got to realize they were in charge for 4 years. This problem didn't start yesterday. This problem didn't start in January.
No, it didn't. But it has now become the thing to go defend the border. Yeah.
From what? Children? No, it's send down some preschool moms. Send down some, healthcare people. Send down some foster care people. Send down some money because, we got to get them fed, clothed. We need someone that can cook some green beans, some pinto beans, some, ham hocks, whatever. Get these kids taken care of. This isn't hard. If Australia can rent out a 5-star hotel for COVID victims, we can rent out some hotels that aren't getting money to be putting up some kids.
Oh, absolutely. And more importantly, like we currently, is there another country that has a worse immigration situation than we have right now in terms of if you arrive here, and we'll just call it, improperly, as in you did not apply for a visa, blah blah blah. You did not go through that process. Is there a country that has a worse? And granted, these are refugees,
right?
So this isn't like you don't plan your refugee trip. You just grab the crap you can and as many family members as you can, and you run. That's it. That there's no, Well,
I don't know. I want to check out our neighbors here.
I mean, Canada's amazing. Canada's hi, we'll handle this. Can we just call Canada down and be fix the border crisis, please? You work a really nice border. The Canadian border is super amazing.
Well,
you have more problems getting back to the U.S. than you do getting to Canada.
I know. Well, this is kind of my states on it. If we can get Her Majesty to sign the repossession forms, call in the repossessors, have them come and repossess us. Canada's government is the closest crown to us. They can come down and take over.
Yeah, unfortunately. I think right now this is kind of like when the bank goes to repossess a car and it's been parted out, it has no wheels, and it's just a pile of frame and things that someone hadn't been able to scrap yet. And the bank's just no. What do you want me to do with that? Don't sit it on our lot. We can't sell it. Crap, no. Leave it where it lie. Yeah, Justin's in the same boat, I think. So yeah, it's no. This. I don't think we're gonna get repossessed.
It would be nice if we would. Like, I'm sorry, Canada, the UK's laws, UK healthcare, UK benefits, UK pay structures, UK labor encouragement. This could be a good thing.
Oh, it could be wonderful. I mean, talk about fixing problems quickly, but you know.
Yeah.
No such luck on that. But I think if we did just call Canada and be like, could you teach us about border control?
Because
Like,
Canada accepts 4 times the number of refugees as the American state.
Yeah, easily, with no problems.
Yeah.
Like, they don't ever seem to have a problem with refugees. Ever. They're just kind of like, okay, welcome to Canada.
Here's your resettlement package. This is where you're moving to. We've already secured housing for you. Oh, you don't have a sponsor? Fine. We already have sponsors on a list. You get to choose which one's going to help you. Get used to this.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, hi, welcome to Canada.
Right.
You know, I mean, they're just kind of like, you know.
Yeah. And
cool.
we wonder why they don't have national debt.
True. But, you know, I mean, there's other countries I'm sure that technically are worse, but I'm trying to think who is really doing the worst job right now. And I think the US, like, after the last 4 horrific years of ICE detention centers and the nightmare that's become.
Right.
Because I'm sorry, that, like,
right.
No good things come from your situation is basically a warehouse with chain link fencing. Like, this is not good.
No.
Like, that's really
not even Mexico's prison standard.
You know? I mean, granted, there's worse prisons, but that's sort of not the point. Like, you're not, like, why are we building a prison out of, like, what does that say about the U.S.? That's not welcoming at all.
No.
That's not even humane in a lot of situations. Right. But it's sort of like, and then all the other crap that follows onto that.
Right.
Like, no, this is a shit show.
Right.
I mean, there's nothing else to call that. Like, you can't call that a decent, like, immigration setup.
No.
Like, or a refugee setup, or, you know.
See, here's the problem. Trump was separating adults and children. Like, they weren't keeping mothers and children together or fathers and children together. So we already had children in the situation. Now we're getting, they found out that was occurring, so now they're just sending children over by themselves. Like, fine, you know, get the kids out at least.
Yeah.
And I know of 2 hotels in this state alone that is just abandoned. How many others are throughout this country that cannot be turned into facilities?
Well, that's sort of the United States problem.
Uh-huh.
Is that fundamentally we only look at a commercial interest,
mm-hmm.
and we will gladly let property set and deteriorate to the point that it is simply property that you raise, you know, as in you knock it down, versus trying to take a functional interest in a property at a community level to do something else.
Right.
You know, or even question that. Like, and I know in West Virginia, I can kind of understand it a little bit more. Like, West Virginia is super saturated with abandoned commercial property, i.e. the business moved out and, like, no one wants this.
Right.
You know, there's tons of that.
Right.
I mean, poor Keystone, West Virginia. That whole area is a kind of nightmare. Because that was a very booming area. And then there was the giant financial crime at Keystone Bank.
Right.
And somewhere in the midst of that, the whole town collapsed. Like, the whole area collapsed. Like, Keystone was what was keeping it functional and floating. Partly because, you know, it was a decent employer in the area. that paid well.
Right.
But it was also, because of the rates that they had on accounts,
Right.
a lot of people put their money there.
Right.
Because they had an unbeatable rate of return on like simple savings accounts. And lo and behold, it was basically a Ponzi scheme.
Right.
It was, they were taking on, like, they were offering the high rates to take on more accounts to be able to afford to pay the high rates. And ultimately they dug a trench and buried the actual books for the bank.
Right.
So no one knew what anyone had, and the bank actually went insolvent. Like, ridiculously insolvent.
Right.
Like, it kept going and going and going until, like every other Ponzi scheme, you can't do this anymore.
Right.
You have too many people expecting money that you don't have.
Right. But how many of the people there live still in that area? The buildings are there. Maybe they're hotels. Maybe they're, old hospitals and jobs. Raising kids ain't hard. You feed them, you change them, you shower them, you educate them.
Well, but it's also a consideration. We have entire communities in West Virginia that are already borderline in collapse.
Right.
And I don't want to say it like, like here's your next best choice to an internment camp is like, let's go resettle these areas. But it would open up some opportunities.
Right.
Like, as in, if you could get a community behind that, like, we can't keep people in West Virginia.
Right.
That's been our long-term problem.
Right. Well, here's
that
Weston, West Virginia, little tiny town. It's known for its asylum. That supported that town. Everybody was connected to the asylum in one way or another. Now, imagine if we had that in some of these other dead areas, but we're raising kids, or Dreamer program.
Well, yeah, or taking whole families.
Yeah.
I mean, that could rebuild a community that has been slowly, losing people. That the only people that are left are stuck one way or another. They're too old to move. They're too broke to move. They have an unsellable asset called a house that no one wants.
Right.
In a community that's somewhat disconnected. Like, if we could, start some government programs that would look at these areas that are, in that situation of failing,
right,
build some basic infrastructure in them,
right.
I think you would see these areas flourish again.
Yeah.
With entirely different, like, because a lot of these are old coal towns.
Right.
And that's kind of the West Virginia problem. Is virtually everything in West Virginia was built around something. Typically a mine.
Right.
And when that mine closed, or that mine reduced, or that mine was transferred and idled, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, whatever happened to it, the communities surrounding it all kind of died.
Right.
Because it had one core employer, and that was the whole reason those people were there in the first place. And once that employer left, so did everyone else. They left looking for a new job.
Right.
We have entire communities that this has happened to that have been decimated by this. I think it opens up a lot of opportunities, like entrepreneurial opportunities. It opens up, a lot of options for, rehabbing areas.
Right.
Like, if you would just be, so to speak, don't dump everyone in New York or Florida, like Orlando or like major cities. But if you could spread the number of people coming into the country through like some of these older communities, you could potentially create a fix
right
for the things going on there.
Right. And Gwen says put windmills on the mountain ridges. Yeah,
Absolutely.
these people will work. They will
Yeah.
go out and clear. They will learn whatever. They're just looking for a new life.
Mm-hmm.
And we could easily create them a new life in this country and have a very valuable asset. We have seen this throughout history, whether it's the Irish, the Italians, whether it is the Orientals, and I say Orientals because that's what they were labeled as they came in. That's China, Japan, all the Polynesian countries coming into this country. Throughout the centuries, they have come in, they have built railroads, they have built roads, they have, built infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
What, are they not teaching history in school that they've forgotten this is how America gets built?
Yeah. In many, many ways.
Yeah.
Well, and also it's an opportunity because a lot of these communities that we have in West Virginia, it's either an older population or one generation down that is taking care of that older population.
Right.
It has gotten stuck. And especially when you're looking at the investors at Keystone Bank, those people lost entire life savings.
Right.
Like every dime they were ever going to have that they had put away, stocked away, squirreled away, they had moved into that bank because of the high rate of return. These people are left with nothing but, Social Security.
Right.
In an area that blew up.
Right.
That they can't get out of.
Right. And, these people will take jobs. Yes, they will take jobs. They will go to work those jobs and pay those taxes, and they'll be happy to have their job.
Yeah. Which would open up the opportunity to create, again, a little grant funding. Like we have counties that barely have a hospital. Or the hospital that is there is so small and inconsequential, unless you're having a heart attack and or a stroke, and even then you're going to get flown out to a major medical center.
Right.
That's the best they have.
Right.
All it is a Band-Aid station.
Right. Because what I'm hearing the most from the managers that I know and the people that I know, they can't get enough employees. They've done left. Literally, one manager I know, me and her worked together 30 years ago. 20 years ago at least. She worked under me. Now she's a GM. She's like, I will hire anybody that will show up and can do the job. I can't be picky right now because I'm having to work doubles. And she's older than I am.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's very hardworking.
She is.
She's awesome.
Store.
Yeah. Honestly, I think she's the kind of manager I could certainly appreciate. If you got half a brain of intelligence and you try, I don't think she's going to give anyone any grief.
I don't think
she doesn't seem to get that often.
Well, all she asks is you show up, you do your job, you don't do drugs on her parking lot, you don't, bang your girlfriend in her freezer, and you collect a good paycheck.
Yeah.
And if you want 40 hours a week, she'll work you 41 because she doesn't want you gypped.
Fair enough.
But, other businesses has opened up, and that's took a workforce.
Well, other businesses have opened up, and a lot of people just leave this area.
Yeah.
And a lot of people get stuck here.
Right.
And it is especially right now, after the last couple of decades, there's a lot of people that have, quite frankly, their lives have spiraled out of control. That one way or another, they're stuck here. They're for whatever reason, either fed up with employment or unable to obtain it. I don't want to be insulting to anyone, but for a lot of West Virginia, the best and brightest have left.
Right.
The ones that, at least the ones that could get out, is what I'm saying. The ones that could get out have gone. And most of the ones that are left, like your decent, responsible people that you would hire to work a job because they're decent, responsible people, the reason they're here is because they're taking care of family.
Right.
Like, so they're in kind of like they're not employable.
Right.
They already have a full-time job. Like, personally, my thoughts were I was going to leave the state after, my grandmother passed.
Right.
Because I'm like, I don't think there's much left for me here.
Right.
And I'm still not sure that I'm totally wrong on that.
Right.
Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Love my clients. Love my clients. But, we're still a state that's struggling with technology. Like, we're struggling with basic infrastructure to support technology. We're just, if we're financially, we're impoverished. So there's not a lot of money for technology. And in a lot of cases, if you can't afford internet and you can't afford a computer and you can't afford a cell phone, you're not going to be calling me. Right. We also have a lot of businesses that are still, or at least up until COVID, were at the very bottom rung of basic technology within that business. And because of the infrastructure situation, a lot of businesses stuck on older technologies, just trying to limp it along because the area that they're built in can't support better. It's not there.
Right.
Like, how many, it's scary to think, but there's a number of businesses in West Virginia that are on dial-up credit card machines.
Right.
Because they can't get better.
Right. Well, and, we're talking about population loss. Justin says he's been looking for a job for 3 years. Yeah, I could see that happening. I mean, especially if you're looking in a Pacific field or a field that isn't that popular here. But, West Virginia between December of 2019 to December of 2020 lost another 10,000 people that moved out. Just said, turn the lights off.
Well, yeah. And a lot of the jobs that we're bringing to West Virginia, we keep seeing, if you live in West Virginia, you have to be sick and tired of seeing that good paying jobs that we keep getting. And it's always, always, always attached to retail, a hotel, or dining.
Right.
And it's like, those aren't, I'm sorry, those aren't good paying jobs because we can't get a decent federal minimum wage.
Right.
But yet these are the same jobs that we want to argue about that shouldn't be careers. Okay, but these are the only jobs we're getting. So they're turning into a career for people.
Well, and again,
if you're going to, I'm just saying, if you're going to work that argument, if you're going to work that argument, we have way too many jobs for 15 to 20-year-olds. For a state that has very few 15 to 20-year-olds and a whole career population that needs employment.
Right.
So what did you think was going to happen with that is my question. Right. If you're going to make the argument that these are not career jobs, you're not supposed to, build a career out of working at McDonald's.
Why not?
Well, granted, that's a whole different argument. I'm saying if you're going to build that argument, then you have to accept that these are the jobs you brought here.
Right.
These are the only new jobs we're getting.
Right.
What do you think is going to do that?
Right.
Oh, Justin, I absolutely hate that, and I totally understand it. Years ago, when I first moved back to West Virginia, and I thought this was going to be temporary, I thought I was going to be here for 6 months and, find a job and move along. I actually interviewed for a position that was listed as IT. And it was a very awkward conversation with and I won't give away all the specifics, but let's just say it was not an IT job.
Mm-mm.
Someone in HR screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
And because this job was going to require like the ability to use Microsoft Office, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, yada, yada, and database entry, they listed this job like it was a full-time IT position.
Mm-hmm.
It was part-time at best.
Mm-hmm.
And it was effectively data entry.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, they called me and scheduled an interview. And I went in, and this poor hiring manager, we'll call this person that, just because otherwise it gives away what the employer was. This poor hiring manager just apologized profusely because they took one look at my resume and they're like, I think there's been a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what do you mean? And they go, this is a data entry position. I just need someone part-time to sit at a desk and enter data.
Mm-hmm.
I like your skills. You'll be gone in the minute you find something better.
Mm-hmm.
I can't afford to hire you, but two, I can't even pay you what you probably think this position was going to be worth.
Right.
Let alone pay you enough to keep you here.
Right.
I give this guy a lot of credit for honesty. I do. Because he looked at me and said, my budget for this position is 18.
Mm-hmm.
And at first it went through my head, like $18 an hour isn't that bad.
Right.
Like, okay. Like, I can do that. And then I realized what he meant was 18,000.
Right.
And I was like, oh, no, you can't afford me. Like, I can't afford to work for that.
Right. But, that happens.
Mm-hmm. Like, West Virginia has one of the lowest median incomes, both individually and household. I think we're 6th in the United States on median income. If I remember correctly, I was looking at that recently for something totally different. It was the whole justice tax plan.
Right.
Which, I mean, that was going to be my whole point why I was looking at it, was that's irrelevant. That no, unfortunately, households in West Virginia have a household median income of around 49,000.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is like it's literally number 6 to the bottom.
Right.
Like, it is the 6th lowest
Mm-hmm.
median income.
Right.
Like, that's how bad we're doing.
Right.
We are barely above poverty level.
Right.
On an individual basis.
True. I mean, it's like, and this is going to sound bad, and I don't mean it to sound the way it sounds, but, I have 5 master's degree in metaphysics. Those are actual degrees.
Mm-hmm.
I should be charging 3 times the rate that I charge, but I live in West Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of like with, my services.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I got a quick lesson that I could not charge North Carolina rates in West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you technically, if you go into, a certain nerdy squad of people,
Mm-hmm.
those are national rates. That's what they charge.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't vary demographically or by location.
Right.
It's a fixed rate across the country.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they could get more in New York or less in West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought I was priced reasonably,
Mm-hmm.
and I was for North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I, had someone, ask for my services, I just got this look.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how much?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, uh-oh, I think I screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
So there for a while, I dropped my rates really low. Just because I realized very quickly that what I was asking for was I think worked out to about 10 hours of minimum wage.
Right.
Gross. 10 hours of minimum wage.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized the reaction at that point.
Right.
Is that in an area with so many minimum wage or just barely above minimum wage jobs, that's a lot of money.
Right.
Like, you know, because I think that repair worked out to like $75.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't thought about it in that way in a very long time. Like, you know, and I kind of had to go back through a whole nother point in my life where I made minimum wage in college.
Right.
Which back then it was like $5.25 or something ridiculous. And like, I remember like knowing exactly what my minimum wage bought by the 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I knew what every 5 minutes did for me, what every 15 minutes did for me, what every half hour did for me. Like I could buy this, I could afford this, I paid this.
Right.
You know, and being very price conscious when I went to purchase something that, you know, it costs this many hours. Like, you know, I remember buying a $75 phone and realizing how many hours of work that cost me just to have it stolen the next day.
Right.
I'm like, I was just beside myself at that point, but even when I bought it, I knew how much it cost by the hour. And I was like, so doubly devastated there. One, that many hours work to buy something, and then so yeah. But that's a little side trip.
Well, that is a side trip. But, you know, it kind of leads us to our next topic of what the Biden administration is trying to do.
So, yeah, Biden has asked the education secretary to see if he can legally cancel student debt.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is basically to prepare a memo on the president's legal authority to cancel up to $50,000 in student debt. So, yeah.
Yeah.
He's been reluctant to bypass Congress to forgive the loans. He's been under mounting pressure from members of his own party, borrowers, and advocates to do so.
Right.
So before the pandemic, around a quarter of student loan borrowers were in delinquency or default.
Well, part of that is because of their damn system.
Well, now you have that specific problem with your servicer. That they have a big problem that they cannot process an automated payment.
No.
So your loan goes like, because you basically do it for the ease of payment. You let yours go delinquent.
Right. Because
just to get to the collections agency that can run an automated payment. So you go in this back and forth like, okay, I'm happy to pay you. I just need you to take the money.
Right. Or, you know, I will write you a check and mail it to you. I need you to cash the check. I've had them return my check.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Justin, I'm in the same boat. Like, and if, like, that income-based repayment, let me tell you, has saved my butt. Because I already was down to, I think I have like 9 months of like normal forbearance left, but not for IBR, which is income-based repayment, which because of the 7 years I was taking care of my grandmother, once that program started, it's like I have zero income. I had now, so zero payment. Right. It's a fight with my specific servicer, or at least it was till like the last year. Like, I think even the servicers are starting to realize we're not just a bunch of deadbeats.
Right.
Because now student loan company or student loan servicers used to treat everyone like they were just a bunch of deadbeats. And I think with the numbers growing, they're realizing the true problem.
Well, my thing is ECM won't process an automated payment, won't cash a check, won't accept check, won't accept anything. It has to go into their collection agency to get a payment processed. And then after that, 18 months, payments on time, collection on time, they do fine. They send me back to my original service. Forget it. ECM messes it right back up.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So
it's not a desire to be in default. It's just a
requirement
to someone who can service this properly.
Right.
On your side. On my side, it's that. Currently we're at $54,000 for my loan, just for student, my student debt. So a $50,000 write down on that. I could quickly pay that off.
Yes.
Like I like
off because
I could do inappropriate things on a corner and pay that off.
No, you need to hand me coffee and bring me food. I'm
just saying.
I know.
At that level.
I've got my $80,000 debt down to $1,100, and the morons can't collect a check.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wonder how many more borrowers are in my situation.
Well, I think there's quite a few, or I'm sure it's not a small group.
No.
Like, I'm sure all of that servicer's clients are probably in a similar situation, that like you have really crappy payment options.
Right.
But there's a much larger category that the cost for the degree and either finding an employment within your field, especially like in West Virginia, where we keep like talking about these good paying jobs that are, in retail, food service, or, hotels.
Hospitality is a degree.
Yeah. Hospitality.
Thank you.
Well, but I'm just saying.
Right.
And in West Virginia, these are not high paying jobs.
No, they're not. But
they're not.
Hospitality has never been high paying. But I don't get these people that say that, running a restaurant isn't a career. Getting paid to go to college, i.e. McDonald's, will pay you to go to college, pay for your college, if you go into their management program for 5 years. Your contract signed for 5 years.
Well, and my problem has never been with I'm trying to work it from the other side. Like, because that's what always gets thrown into the argument, the debate about minimum wage employment. Is that, well, these aren't supposed to be, long-term jobs. Okay, fine. These aren't supposed to be careers, is the argument that keeps getting made. I'm just making the counter argument. Like, if you believe that's true, if you truly, honestly believe that the problem is these are not career jobs, then why is it we as citizens of a state are supposed to be excited about you bringing jobs to West Virginia that you sit there and simultaneously say are not careers for adults? These are jobs for kids.
Well, see, I think
because that's all the jobs we got.
I know, but I think that is bullshit too.
Yeah.
20 years.
Well, no, I think the argument, I think the argument is BS.
Yeah.
I think the way we're meeting this campaign promise of bringing jobs to West Virginia by one more hotel, one more fast food place, one more restaurant, one more, gas station, one more, blah, 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 minimum wage job. It's ridiculous. But I keep hoping if I make the argument from the other direction, that maybe people will follow the bouncy ball on that one. Is these are the jobs you're giving us. Like, have you noticed the shortage of children 15 to 20 to go work these jobs that you say are for kids?
Right. And then
we have a surplus of adults over here that need to, pay a mortgage or, pay rent, that have kids that would like to be able to afford a car and diapers and, and their choice is or leave.
Right. Well,
and I wonder why people keep leaving.
I understand the rush, that's the look and the problem. If I have, and I'm going to say it, if I've got a 30-year-old applying to be my midnight cook and I've got a 19-year-old applying to be my midnight cook, because you got to be over 18 to cook and work midnight, I'm hiring the 30-year-old because at least they'll show up and do what I tell them.
Yeah. Well, that's if you can find someone who hasn't given up at this point in their life.
Right.
Because that's the fundamental problem that we're suffering in West Virginia. Somewhere between people are leaving the state because they've given up, or they've realized from their own life and their own life experience and this constantly getting knocked down for working at McDonald's or retail or a hotel or whatever, these kid jobs, these not a real career, that are finally hitting a point of screw it. Like, if I'm not a responsible adult, then I'm not going to act like one. Like,
I'm sorry, that's a new mentality. That is a new mentality.
Okay.
You're not an adult. No, if you work in a job, you're an adult.
Yeah.
Take what you can work from it.
But we keep doing this to them. Like, politically, socially, this is how we keep treating this.
Right.
Is that, if you're flipping burgers at McDonald's, you don't have a real job.
Right.
And to some extent, I understand where that thought process is a little bit. But it's kind of like a chicken and egg problem. It's not a real job because it doesn't have an income attached to it that supports a full human life.
Yeah. And
but the reason it doesn't have an income attached to it that supports a real human life is because you keep making the argument that this isn't a real job. And therefore, you shouldn't have to pay these unskilled laborers money because they don't have real skills. They're still working.
Right. But I disagree with unskilled labor. I have seen people that can cook a storm, and I have seen people that couldn't fry fries in a vat that times and cooks it for you and measures it out. Yeah, but I'm sick of this not a real job thing because I get handed that all the time.
Yeah, if you're working that many hours a week, if you have 2 or 3 jobs to work 40 plus hours a week to try to make your ends meet, you have real employment. You are an adult. You are doing what you have to, and it's crap.
Because
it shouldn't be.
I don't know how many people I have dressed down when they go, well, that's not a real job. No, yes, I own a company. I own 2 companies.
Well, and granted, we're on the other side of it. We're both work from homes, which for the longest time, like, thank you, COVID, for anything good. If nothing else, I think the world got the idea that work from home is a real job. Like, it has its own real challenges. It has its own, things. It's not a vacation with a couple of work calls.
Right.
That's not how it works.
No.
And there's a lot of things you have to be able to, like, you want to talk about self-starters. There's a lot of things when you work from home, and especially if you're self-employed work from home, you got to get real good at real quick, or you got a big problem.
Right. Organization, cleaning, planning, scoping out, reading the market,
Well, and then there's the side issue of you don't leave work every day.
No.
Like, work, so, like, you want to talk about, like, people struggling with work-life balance when they have a job over here and they live over here and they get a few phone calls and some emails and it's bad.
Right.
Try when your work-life balance is, I have to clean work off the dining room table. Hi. And to have dinner.
No, honey, we just go to the cafe.
Well, true.
You know, the little whistle stop cafe in the other room.
Mm-hmm.
And I throw fried green tomatoes at you and flour and say, here's dinner.
You know?
Yeah.
But that's my point, though, is I'm never not at work. I'm also never not at home.
Right.
I'm both.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is eternal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's not just, you know, and I don't have the lovely experience of having a janitorial staff. I don't have the experience, and neither do you.
No.
Like, raise your hand with me. You're there too. We don't have a janitorial staff that comes through. We don't have a lawn crew. Well, we do have a lawn crew.
We have a lawn crew that comes through. We just don't have a gardener that comes through.
Yeah.
And believe me, my boss is an ass, and so's yours.
Yes. Oh my God. Can I bitch about my boss for a minute?
Yes, go for it.
No, I can't bitch about my boss for a minute. No, that's what I'm saying though. Is like, like seriously, I like, that's not a thing you get when you work from home. And like in our instance, we do have some cross, you know, things with our businesses.
Yeah.
So we make the joke of, you know, I'm his boss and he's mine. Because it is kind of true, but it's also kind of funny.
Yeah.
But it is I can't bitch about my boss to my other half.
Because he is
obviously. Because, you know, that starts an argument.
Well, it's
not a camaraderie about shitty bosses or like bad days at work, or, you know, it doesn't create a camaraderie, let me tell you.
No, because and we had to negotiate that out of like, no, I am not talking as the boyfriend, or no, I'm not mad at you as the boyfriend. I am pissed because you fucked this up.
Well, you know.
Yeah.
But and vice versa. Like, there's those moments. But it's also the same thing. It's not like I can go to work. And like, you know, go, oh, I don't know what the hell my boyfriend's problem is today. Like, oh, it's been a horrible week. I don't know what the fuck. You know, like, I can't do that either. Neither can you. There's no, so to speak, there's no escape.
No,
there just isn't. And that's a serious thing with, like, we're joking about it because you do have to have a sense of humor about it, let me tell you. But you don't get to have that workplace experience or the home experience like you did as a fully employed over here, live over here. There is a crowbar of separation between these things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if you are the employee that lives 2 minutes from the office, you still have a crowbar of separation.
Mm-hmm. You can turn your cell phone off. Not with your boss. He'll just walk into the bedroom and go, what the fuck are you doing? I need this done now, and I need these stickers this way. By 2 o'clock, I have a meeting. Let's go.
I was sleeping.
Who sleeps?
Exactly. But no, again, we joke around with it. We do have to like find it funny. We do have to keep a real good sense of humor about it. Right. There are moments that we do just kind of have to be like, okay, so I'm having a bad day at work and so are you. So before this becomes a bad day at home, you know, let's put this together. Oh yeah. So Shannon says we are having that issue where I work. We have gotten to a point of not answering the phone. Yeah. Cause see, like now, like I do remember, and the one thing I do have to say, and if she ever happens to watch this show, I'm sorry, but I had a coworker years ago that I am so glad as a work from home that I do not have to put up with. Now don't get me wrong. This woman is great,
mm-hmm.
but you know those people who they work hard, but they spend that whole day on the phone with their other half.
Oh, I can't.
I worked with that woman,
Mm.
and sweet woman. Don't get me wrong. I don't hate her, but I'm glad not to work with her anymore because their conversations were things I did not need to know.
Mm-hmm.
I did not need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
I did not need to have any clue about, because she would rip him a new one on that phone.
Mm-hmm.
We knew about their sex life. We knew about any problems they had. We knew about their financial situation. We knew about everything, at least from her perspective, because we never got to hear his.
Well, I can't deal with that. It's like when I'm at an event, if you ain't working the event, I will talk to you when I get done. And I made that clear firsthand. Like, when I'm working, I'm working. You can go sit in the corner.
No, and I get that. And it's kind of the same thing here.
Yeah.
Well, on the flip side, I'm working.
Yeah.
And typically you'll just drop me a message, and if you like, when you know I'm working, it's like he'll get to it eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not allowed to have an emergency, and if I have an emergency, it's like dad dying injured.
Right.
And like, please come now, need help. Like, call me twice.
Right.
Because typically I'll pick things up on a second ring. Otherwise, I assume just someone forgot or someone didn't know I'm on a client.
Right.
Like, I'm at a client site. I'm doing client things.
Well, it's like me when I'm back here.
Mm-hmm.
I've just now gotten to where you'll walk to the door of my office.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm on a call, you just walk right back out. You're like, not bothering him. I will message him, and he'll see it when he sees it.
Well, and then we also have that fun situation, especially with you, because for a while there, you were taking more chats than calls.
Mm-hmm.
And so it got to a point that typically if you were talking, I began to assume it was towards me again.
Uh-huh.
And then I ran into that situation probably a few weeks ago. You said, hey, and I started to talk to you. Like, hey, what's going on? And it was just the client called, and you answered the call with, hey, and they immediately launched into whatever their thing was. And you didn't get a chance to say anything for a few minutes.
No, darling. I was using text-to-speech on the phone, testing that feature out.
Oh, no, we've had that too. That's fun.
Yes, that's enjoyable, is when I'm doing text-to-speech on the app, because I just love the new Keen app.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm text-to-speeching, yada, yada, yada. And he's like, are you on call? I'm like, no. Yada, yada, yada. What are you doing? Text-to-speech, dear. See, you wanted me to do this.
Well, yeah. But now, as for answering the phone at all, no, I have to.
Yeah.
And we've had issues with that, is because I do dive for my phone, because most of my clients call me. It's weird. Let me just point that out as a tech worker. Most of my clients call me. They don't email me. They don't text me. They don't send me, the latest, greatest app thing. I always get a phone call.
Mm-hmm.
Always. Almost always. Very few email or message in any other way.
Right. But me and you had issues on it, but it was the reverse way. Because
Mm-hmm.
I always answer my phone. No matter what's going on, I'll roll over and answer the phone. I can wake up from a dead sleep, answer the phone. Not sure I'll remember the conversation, but my phone will get answered.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, you can't have the phone in the bedroom. And I'm like, what?
Well, no, we're trying to, we were seriously trying to put some limits on things.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm sorry, I will not do phones over dinner.
No.
If there's any way we can help it.
Right.
Now I'll make special allowances.
Mm-hmm.
And we both do that for each other.
Yep.
But as a general thing, I have a big problem with staring at the top of someone's head while they're playing with their phone.
Mm-hmm.
Because my issue is more so you're not working, you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
That I like. If you're just checking out Facebook to be checking out Facebook, and you're scrolling Twitter to be scrolling Twitter,
Right.
that's not working. That's not necessarily what I would call important.
Mm-hmm.
That's something you can do later.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and again, someone else that if they're watching or if they happen to watch, I will say, love you dearly, but we had to have that conversation too, a friend of mine, because we would go out to eat, and while we're waiting on food, this is all I saw until our food got there. And I'm sitting here going, why am I sitting in a restaurant to pay $40-some for a dinner to stare at the top of your head and maybe have a brief conversation while we eat?
Mm-hmm.
If you can leave your phone alone long enough.
Well, and I've made it clear. I had to start making it clear to you. This is a working lunch. When you came more home with me,
mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is working lunch. This is working. So that you knew that. No, I'm not logging out. I'm just coming in here to eat because I hate eating at my desk. It gets my desktop dirty.
Yeah, no. Well, and Shannon says if I'm calling tech person, it's because I can't get my tech to work otherwise. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it and that's what it is. I also make the comment, no one calls me because they're having a good day.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually said that to a client who was like ended up mortified at the reality of what I just said. And I'm like, it's not a problem for me. I knew this going into this. No one's ever going to call me because they're having a good day.
Right.
This client, I love her.
Mm-hmm.
She actually took an opportunity to just message me and say, everything works. Thank you. Just like randomly out of clear blue sky after that. It's just like, no, everything's fine. I just wanted to say hi and prove to you that we can talk to you when we're not having a problem.
All right. Well, guys, unfortunately, it's that time of the evening.
Wow, that went fast tonight.
Yeah, we went through a lot of topics, talked about a lot of things. Hopefully you guys got some tips on working with your partners if you're doing independent businesses.
Mm-hmm. Don't kill them.
And if you do, use foxglove and dandelion weed so that it's untraceable. And you got to have
murder tips
ready.
Stop giving out murder tips.
I am not giving out murder tips.
You're kind of giving out murder tips.
They've got to do a lot of research on it.
Well, fair. Oh my gosh. Alrighty.
All right.
Well, let's go ahead and start closing this down. And you got it.
I'll get this.
Awesome. So we, of course, want to thank our Patreon sponsors. We do love our baristas, and we appreciate your support. And I'm just going to let that get back around so that I make sure that we get everyone. So, yeah, we do want to thank our baristas for their support. Beverly Walker. Oh, it's not moving as fast as I thought it did. Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda Bryant, and Ashley Guest. We certainly appreciate your support. Guys, we are looking to get those Patreon packages out soon. They're on the desk behind me, I swear to God. They've been ready to go. Well, we need to put stuff in envelopes is basically where we're at, and then go get postage. It's been crazy. We're trying to get there.
Yeah. But you guys are going to get some nice happy mail. We enjoy being able to do happy mail.
Absolutely. But if you'd like to become a Patreon sponsor, become one of our baristas, get access to all of our lovely exclusive content, please visit PCSPnetwork.com.
Yep. Now, we will be back on Tuesday with the Psychic Coffee Shop. And if you're new to and seeing us in a new place, yes, we have expanded to broadcasting on Mystic PC. Hello, Mystic PC followers.
Yes.
Joe's over there, and he's over there, and he answers tech questions too.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Feel free, drop them in. I don't need birth dates.
No, you don't.
Should I ask for birth dates?
I would ask for a birth date. So if you're talking to millennial, and it's just like, well, touch this, touch. Or if you're talking to someone else, it's that you need to say click.
Or more importantly, you need to ask your mother.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be giving people, like information to get around like nanny filters. That shouldn't have that information.
It's easy to get around nanny filters. They've never
Most
been in
common passwords are 0000 and 1234.
or 5678.
Your parents are lazy. They don't want to remember another number.
And so is your partners.
Hey. Oh my gosh.
Yes. All right, y'all. You guys have a great evening, a great weekend. Be safe. Happy Easter. Bye.
Bye.